TGIF Warriors, good to wrap up the week. Euro hit my targets in the 102 range. Hello, Mike. Blake, how you doing, brother?
Good morning, Coach.
How are you, buddy?
It's Friday. I actually thought yesterday was Monday, and I was telling everybody in the chat room I went to the gym yesterday, and I went to go start doing chest, and my buddy's like, "Hey, man, it's
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 legs and
Thursday.
our
We're
yeah,
not doing chest
shoulders,
today."
shoulders and arms,
It was back
right?
day, but
Oh, back.
I'm
Yeah.
just happy today's Friday. I feel like I had a 2-day work week. It's great.
Yeah. Anyway, it is Friday. Mike, Linda Lyons is a new name. Welcome. Welcome to Face, Linda. And AJ, how are you? Bran, good to see you back. Hope you're doing good. Had a happy new year, RC, AJ, James Groom. Kman's here too. Okay, and Patrick. All right. So the question I have for the team is, do you think that the euro bottomed? Okay, so that's really the question.
Uh,
Here's a look.
I'm gonna say
Oh,
first of all, great call, Coach. And I'm gonna say something, and I'd love to hear K-Man's thoughts on this because I know you like to talk to K-Man anyway first. I think yesterday's move was a little bit of less leftover flows. So the question is,
okay.
like the end of year flows, they just kind of still were hitting the market yesterday. So the question is, what happens today at the fix? And that's like my that's what I'm going to be looking at today. I mean, everything still looks bearish, but or in this case, euro bearish, dollar bullish.
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear K-Man's thoughts on that.
Good
Kman.
morning, both of you. How are you?
Good morning, Kay.
Morning, buddy. So,
Friday is going to be good for you. Yeah, I think so. There was also at the same time that we were doing the fixings, there was a bit of a statement from Stornaro saying from the ECB saying that he expects rates to hit 2% at the ECB by autumn. Well, it's already priced in the market. It's actually priced for even earlier, but that seems like having pushed those flows probably over the edge, and we saw that acceleration in the fixing. It could be that we're done. I'm not going to exclude it, but as we were saying yesterday, I think on Monday will probably be the real start of the year.
yeah.
Um, but I'm going to say that a few currencies, which were really under the cosh yesterday, are starting to show signs of this may be enough for now. And then I'm thinking about the euro, cable, Aussie, Kiwi, in particular. They show signs of finding some interest towards their lows. That is what I'm finding interesting today.
Okay. And just a point that I brought up yesterday when the dollar was smoking, Canada could not make a new high. It sure tried before this candle. And US dollar yen really wasn't able to juice it up either. Right
Mm,
now, maybe it's a failing rally. I don't know, but this was the range I was looking for um, in euro. So I certainly am not going to short it. Can it do some work here and even make marginal new lows? Maybe, but I think it's a pretty good sign
mm,
if we close back in here. Although on a weekly basis, look, you're right. It, just because we have maybe a 24-hour reversal, that's not enough to reverse it. But I look at this as possibly a falling wedge. I just drew the wedge line here. So I'd be careful at least being bullish a dollar at these levels.
yeah.
You know
Mm.
what I mean? So um anyway, see, did nothing right on a weekly basis. So, until I have some kind of blue candle happening from here, maybe I'll probe it and put out some feelers, have small pieces. In fact, I sold some Dixies yesterday, but half positions. That's all I'm doing right now if I'm going to
Mm.
try and pick a turn.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you got while you guys are chatting, I'm actually doing a little bit of weekly work on the euro, and I'm excited to show you because it's kind of a pain in the ass to do. So I'm doing it while you
Go ahead.
guys chat. I got
Okay.
something important. I think I'm gonna show you here in a few minutes.
Okay. Um, Gold silver ratio. Now these two are, somewhat correlated, XAU doesn't look that much different than the dollar. Dollar looks actually stronger, but the XAU is coming off. The gold silver ratio is coming off too. But this could just be two drives and we could get another one. But silver's having a decent week. Even the miners, unless they completely fall apart. This is something I want to show everyone. And then you could have them, Blake. It's a GDX. So you guys know I've been negative miners for a while. I just want to give you a long-term look on GDX and show you what the market hit last week. Came very close to it. And I think it's going to hold, may work around here, but check it out. Okay, we have an outside week, came very close to testing. I'll even give you a bigger picture. This is very important for the miners to stay in somewhat of an uptrend. But, here's a triangle. This was a breakout, and here we are. Okay, we tested it Friday when they were, puking everything. Now we have an inside month beginning. So I wouldn't be short miners anymore. We had all the tax selling happen, and I mean, pretty good days we had in miners, 10% in a day from this was Monday's close. So it's a start. So it's a start. So a lot of tax loss selling out of the way.
A
I'm
lot of
bullish.
people were blaming that the market move yesterday as that, as some tax loss selling that we
Oh
saw.
yeah, I heard that. Yeah, well, it's been going on for, it doesn't have to be on the last day. I think part of the decline of the miners is most people didn't get in until it was hyped. All right. I mean, we had some, pretty good moves in miners. If I just go back to, something like what I'm in now, it's not cheap because if I go to a weekly, this is where it was the last time I called out a bottom was in March of last year. And look what it did last year. All right. This was March of last year. So I'm not looking for like a home run ball in silver, but I'm looking for a third drive up here in this stock and Endeavor. Risking a buck or so to make three. Um, this is what I'm looking for. So really, this is a higher low, right? Second higher low after the big rally. I think they look okay. So that's what I wanted to show, and you just found something on Euro. So I can't I can't wait any longer. I
Well,
have to see it now, man.
well, let
Come on.
me
The suspense is killing me, bro.
it shouldn't be, but I'm gonna share with you guys something just because this is a weekly chart of the euro. Going back to, you can see 2000,
Oh
about
yeah.
2000. So you can see this now. All these blue lines represent around January 1st, roughly, give or take. One of the things that I think you're going to hear, this is, let's just say, the top of the dollar is in today or yesterday or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And let's just say the euro from here goes up to 104, 105 in the next week or two. You're going to see so many people tell you, the dollar oftentimes marks its, high or low of the year right at the beginning of the year. You'll see it, and I've seen it over the years. A lot of the older school guys will come out of the woodwork and start telling you that. But there's some truth to it. It's not all hocus pocus. You can see, and we'll kind of look around. Last year marked pretty much the high at the very end of the year in the euro, and yes,
Yeah.
we tested those levels again, but we ended at the lows, right?
Yeah.
Um, Previous year, low, high, near the highs marked to the high of the year the previous year. Obviously we fell quite
Yeah.
aggressively and bounced, but you can see it was pretty much the high of the year. High of the year previous year, low, close to the low of the year the previous year. Low,
You know,
high, or
that's
excuse me, high, low. But you can see, just take a look at like a lot of, if you just scroll back, and it isn't like perfect by any stretch of the means, but you can see right around January 1st can mark a pretty significant turn for, a
oh,
currency.
so maybe
Well,
it
this is
happened
the
again.
euro. So, you can see that we are near the tops here. This is kind of an off year. This was an off year too. This is pretty much the low, even though we, closed back at the lows, it was still like the low of the year. This is the high of the year, right? This year. So you just go
Yeah.
back in time and you can see that a lot of times that is truly the case. It is, like I said, it's not perfect, but I think a lot of it has to do with flows. And if you think about and I'm just, you can go all the way back. I'm just going back to 2004 or whatever it is right here. Um,
I wish I could.
yeah, I wish I could go back to 2004 as well. Matter of fact, but the point I'm trying to make here is, if you take into account this particular year and take into account what we know already, which doesn't tell us anything else more than that we have an incoming new incoming president, but we already know that Trump and his allies and his VP they want a weaker dollar. Now, whether they can get it or not is another thing, which looks like we're going to be finding out here within the next few weeks. If especially what type of tariffs are put on. If he lives up to his word, if he puts in a scaling type of tariff over time, that's going to have a negative impact on the dollar. I think if that's the way that they decide to go, there's a few different options, but we're gonna soon find out. But knowing that we just came off of a very, very strong, move lower in the euro, and if Trump and his administration are you know good at weakening the dollar, perhaps this is near the lows of the year in the euro. Maybe not today, maybe not yesterday, but maybe we're close. And
Let me ask you this. What comes to what I'm thinking of when I look at this chart, it's a low that we had in 22 at 95, I believe it was. And what's the retracement level that we're at
618.
now?
Exactly. Almost to
That's
the pip. We're close. We came really close to 618 retracement.
all
I
right.
think it was
That's what
102.05 if I'm not mistaken. So, and we got to 102 we got
yeah,
to
it's 20.
102.20. Yeah, I guess that's what it
Yeah.
was.
So
So,
missed it
we
by
came
20.
really damn close,
Yeah.
and that's another thing that's like, yeah, maybe that was it was,
So it
close
could
enough.
just
You know how
be
it is.
that if Greg was here, he might say, and maybe he is here. He would say
He
that
isn't.
first wave was like one, and then what we've had since has been an ABC setting up for which is two, and we're setting up for wave three or C,
Well,
depending upon.
Dale, I'm not an Elliotician, but this would be wave five of lesser
Yeah. Oh
degree,
yeah,
right?
we talked about it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So
Same
this is the
thing.
dollar index, and I didn't think we'd reach all the way to the 127% extension. I was like, okay, we'll hit the 618, but obviously, yesterday's flows pushed us, beyond that, and I don't know if that is it. I mean,
Yeah,
uh,
I know.
it might be. I mean,
I
I'd be more
yeah,
confident if we drop back below 108.50, but
okay.
yeah, but
Yeah,
right
I would
now
be too. Yeah.
It's possible, and obviously relative strength is still strong, but it's divergent,
Yeah, yeah.
very, very divergent at this point. So it might be the top in the dollar or pretty close to. And like I said, I think today's flows will, let us know, because I think there's a lot of people that saw what happened yesterday. They're like, look, I'm not, buying the euro right now. I'm going to wait till after London, the London fix, and people like Kman go home that like to push the market 300 pips at a time, right, Kman? I'm going to wait for you to go home. I mean, because that was a pretty
I
massive yesterday.
I've never pushed it for 300 points. Hey, and by the way, if you would say like I pushed it now, we would go to jail. I mean, because that's
That's true.
manipulation.
And
Hey,
too bad we don't have the buying power, and not even within, a microscope of the buying power to be moving the
No.
FX market by
No.
any pip at all. So, but jokes aside, that's kind of what I'm seeing. And K-Man, what are your thoughts as you look at the dollar and you look at the euro and kind of take in what Dale and I are talking about, and especially about the tops and bottoms in at
Yeah.
the beginning of the year?
Yeah. We've seen quite big moves at the start of the year. Recall last year, right, where we had a very big move at the end of the 2023, and then an opposite move at the start of 2024.
Mhm.
Now we could be in a bit of a similar situation, because I'm seeing a lot of people talking about parity in the euro.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if if we are going to get there. And the issue is, if you look at the euro dollar, I the issue is on somewhere both sides, because you still have got very weak data in the euro, but we always have to bear in mind that things always look the ugliest at the bottom, right? So I'm really going to watch it for a while, but I am going to say that if I see euro at or below parity from here, um, I'm going to start to really think, because, well, you know my feeling about what's going to happen on in US side. I think
Yeah.
there may be some more dollar buying into the inauguration, maybe even after a bit after when he comes in. But then, as I've been saying, it all will depend on how hard he's going to push on the trade relations pedal or brakes. And that will yeah, depend on a lot of things. But if he makes hard on all the promises that he did, I think at one stage the dollar is going to reverse massively and go lower pretty fast and hard.
Yeah, and so that's where it all lies. What does he do on day one? And we're gonna soon find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
But
and
actually, if
go
he
ahead.
goes very soft, and I know Xi may not go in person to the inauguration, but if there's something there, like if he goes a bit softer, let's say for a starter on China, we may see actually the opposite effect. So that's why I'm saying a lot will depend on what he's doing, and he really controls the traffic lights. Are we going straight away? Is it a race to the bottom straight away? Are we going for new tops first of all? It's he's controlling the at least the speed of things is at which things are going to move. So asking the question now whether we have seen the bottom of the euro dollar, it's possible. It is very possible that we have seen the absolute bottom, but who are we to say so?
Right.
That is the thing.
Right. And I think at this point you just got to look at price. I mean, while the euro's below 103.50, we've got to just imagine it's bearish. That's that spike low following the French situation. And you can see how important it was. So as long as you're below that, it does look bearish. We do have a bear flag pattern from yesterday. That's the sell-off yesterday. There's the consolidation that we're seeing. We do have ISM today. So we have ISM manufacturing. Now, a lot of people may look at that data and say, well, it's just, it's manufacturing. We're a services economy. So who cares about the ISM data? You know, I don't. I think that traders are yearning information to trade on, so I wouldn't be surprised if we have some reaction with the manufacturing data. It is expected to come in a tick lower on the headline number. So if it shows any type of deviation from that, whether it's a stronger number or a weaker number, I think we could actually get a response day. But yeah, you look at these moves and here's the sterling, this bear flag pattern, and we
Yeah.
broke some pretty key support yesterday when we broke through 120 or 125, 124.75. And we talked a lot about sterling's weakness. So, in order to get us to reverse all of these moves, we do have to see some of these levels get taken out, which at this point doesn't seem likely, but that doesn't mean, that things can't happen later today. But I wanted to have Dale, since you're more of a political guy, and I want to talk about Speaker Johnson. He's up for his vote today, whether he's going to retain speakership or not. And I think this vote is really important today because it's going to tell us a lot on how Republicans are going to vote, for or in line with Trump in the months ahead and the weeks ahead on some of the efforts that the administration is trying to get passed. And so the speaker vote's kind of interesting because it's not every
Day.
every it's not, well, it's not every day, but it's not every person that's there. It's who's in attendance.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They vote. But do you remember when McCarthy had a hard time getting
Yeah.
pushed through? Remember, it was so annoying. Now Johnson, I think will eventually get pushed through because I don't think there's any other options at this point. Nobody that we know of that's like throwing their hat in the ring that we're like, oh yeah, that could be a significant replacement of Johnson. But I think it's going to be how many times it takes Johnson to get through the voting process before he gets nominated is going to tell us a lot. And if he doesn't get nominated and he's basically out, I don't think the markets are going to like that at all because the markets will soon realize that the markets are not, all on board with anything and everything Trump has to say.
Well, they
Oh,
need a speakership. They need a Speaker of the House to certify the election. That's the most important part of this, okay? And if they don't have a speaker, could delay the certification of the election.
oh, well, there you go. There you go.
So
And so I think
you're
today
on to something.
you might be, and this is something that I think we should be paying attention to later today. I think the vote starts sometime around noon Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. So just, if you've got positions on and you're like, okay, I'm done for the week and I'm leaving, and just keep an eye on, that. I
I'm
think that is going to be potentially moving the
You
markets.
may not be old enough, Blake, but I'm the speaker of my house because I talk to myself all the time.
I'm the speaker of my house until my wife wakes up,
Okay.
which
Oh,
is
I
it's
remember.
a long time in the morning. So,
Good one, man. All right.
considering I'm up at the weird hours of the day. Um, Kman, we got a few minutes
Hmm.
before we're going to be wrapping up. What are some things that you're going to be looking at as we move into this next year, and maybe some thoughts on some of the divergences that we've seen with some of these currencies like the Aussie and the Kiwi.
Yeah.
Dale mentioned the Canadian. Yeah, Canadian didn't act very well yesterday
Oh,
at all.
I
Trying
think,
now.
yeah, Canada is one of those. Don't forget this. There's a lot of politics going around in Canada right now.
Yeah.
If you would, if you were to be trading, excuse me, if you were to be trading economic data, the picture may be a bit clearer. But we're trading politics. Then
Tariffs, yeah.
you had a little bit of USMCA in there, Trudeau, and then you trade the economic data. I think if we would trade purely on economic data, yeah, they are not that strong, but they're not completely falling out of bed. The problem is how hard will they get hit uh, by Trump once more, and that there may be your next big move. If if he doesn't go too hard on the USMCA, and he goes like, well, okay, because it's funny because before we had NAFTA, he no, what was it
Yeah, it
in the
wasn't
Americans?
USMCA.
Was
I
it
think it
yeah,
was
it was
NAFTA. It
NAFTA
was NAFTA.
that
Yeah,
he throw
NAFTA.
that he throw into the bin, and he created USMCA, and now he says like, well, let's throw that in the bin as well, unless you take all your migrants back. And that's where probably the next move will lie. If we look only at politics, I've seen a lot of people actually being relatively positive if Trudeau would go.
Oh
And
yeah, definitely. That's what I was gonna
and
say
that
is
and
if
yeah, and then
yeah,
you
if he
can have like
goes,
because there is political turmoil, but the coin has two sides, right? So if you get rid of somebody that is not good for your country anymore, or where especially the investors think he should be going and putting in somebody with a stronger backbone, then you might actually see the currency strengthen once he's gone. And I think that's where the market is probably undecided, me included, as of what to do with the Canadian dollar right now. That's
you
where I
know, while you're
stand.
talking about the Canadian dollar and USMCA, I have to also point out that the Mexican peso has been really, really strong. Now we've talked about it last night in Asia. If you're in the ForexAnalytix chat room and you just go well, you can go to the analysis also on ForexAnalytix and pull up the US dollar Mexican peso. We were talking about, and I did post a chart last night in there that we were going to have key support at the 2051 level. And we actually hit that this morning and bounced pretty aggressively from 2051. You can see how we bounced right from there. We hit 2051 almost to the pip and bounced. But
There's
one
another
of
one.
the things,
There's
well, I
another
was just
one
going to,
that's waiting. There's
yeah,
another one that's waiting
it is
for the
waiting, and
20th
it's
of January, right?
well, yeah, because if Scheinbaum, who was invited to the inauguration, if she does come to the inauguration, that's a kind of like a show of support, and maybe we're closer to getting some sort of Mexico USA collaboration, especially given the fact that you got three big issues, in my opinion, in Mexico. You've got immigration, you've got obviously drugs, and then you have China's infiltration of the Mexican EV car market. So, if Trump really wants to do something, with Mexico, he could really, work on other issues and be a little bit easier on tariffs and everything else. And
If she takes
so
the migrant, if
if
she
she
takes the
goes to,
migrants
All
back,
she has to do is flirt with him. I don't think I
yeah,
think she's a pretty good
and
looking woman, right?
it's actually
she's a
no,
beautiful woman
no,
too.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
So
there you go.
yeah.
Stop talking politics. It's all about sex. Okay? Anyway,
True.
it is, I mean, it is. All right. So if he is attracted to her and she is nice to him, Mexico will have no problems under the Trump administration
Well, and
until they
that's
have a fight.
but isn't it crazy though? I mean, you look at and I'll go back to Kman here. This is election night, right?
Yeah.
And look at where the dollar Mexican peso is. And I mean, within 2 days, we could
Yeah.
literally be giving back everything that we've done
Right.
from the election. I mean, isn't that a little crazy? Because
that's
if you
what
look at,
we
yeah, go
that's what
ahead.
we've been saying. I mean, your
Yeah.
next 10% it will depend on it, and when it does like 2% here and there right now, it's it's probably not something to make big decisions on. You can trade those both ends. I mean, there is even around 20 and a quarter. Is it somewhere around there or low 20s where there's some interesting stuff going on as well?
Yeah, to like
2021.
2010, 20, there's
Yeah,
channel
exactly.
support, all sorts of technical levels there.
Yeah, I mean, you can trade those ranges for now, but beware with any position that you have in the Mexican peso that you can be well, hopefully for you, 10% to the good, but also 10% of court if all of a sudden Scheinbaum says, well, I can't take my migrants back straight away, then Trump may go like, well, okay, then we shut the borders. That's it. And dollar max trades at 22 the next day.
Yeah, yeah, yes, you're right. It could trade either direction, but I just want to point out that it is really has lacked it just lacked any type of momentum to the upside, which I found very surprising following the election personally. So anyway, another interesting currency. Dale, you don't have an interview today, do you?
No.
Okay. So we have let's talk about one last thing as we head into the end of the week. So today, it's funny in the chat room here. Benedict, and I know he might be listening in right now. He's a good buddy of mine. I met him in person. He's been in the chat rooms with me for like literally 15 years. He's like, for some odd reason, I thought NFP was today, which it isn't. NFP is going to be next Friday, but it's an important number next week. I think the market's looking for about 150,000 jobs to be created, roughly, give or take. How important is the jobs report to you, Kman and Dale? Because I think it's going to be really important. I think data is going to be really, really looked at in the weeks ahead, especially in the U.S. But what are your thoughts?
The dollar's the big story of the year. We're in the right arena. So, I still think there's a dollar top coming. And if that's the case, you could be long everything for a while.
All right, Kman, what do you think about the data next week? How important is the jobs data, the NFP?
They're always going to be extremely important, and it's one of the things that I said in the room as well. There's going to be, and not actually only for the US, but the US, it's going to have all eyes on it, of course. But it's going to be the big. I think 2025 is going to be the big debate between growth, jobs, on the one side, and inflation on the other side. And growth and jobs could probably walk hand in hand, and then see how that compares to what's going on in inflation. There could be a pretty big debate coming for markets. I mean, what do you look at the most? Do you look at most at growth and jobs, or do you look the most at Fed is trapped because inflation is going higher? I'm saying it's the first one. I think whenever your growth and jobs are moving clearly in one direction, to me, and maybe it's a strong word, but to me, inflation becomes completely obsolete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think inflation is going to be as big of a story as everybody thinks it is. But I'm with you, Kman. I mean, I believe it's going to be. I think that we could have tariffs, and people could say this, that, and the other thing. But I think if we have tariffs and we have a weaker economy, it's going to offset that, and it's inflation is going to be a non-event.
But don't forget that the weakest currencies usually have the highest interest rate historically. That's why
Yeah,
they're called emerging markets.
yeah.
That's a good
Submer
point.
They've been submerging.
Yeah, I mean, and it's those who suffer the most when
The dollar's strong.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Speaking of dollar strength and maybe one last topic here before we go. And by the way, next week, just so you all know, I'm going to be out for a couple of days next week, but Ryan's going to be back. The Flow Show is going to be in full swing as of Monday. So, Dale will be here, and I'm sure there's going to be other Forex Analytix members in here on the days that I'm going to be out.
Yeah.
That they'll be here, on the Face show. So make sure you guys are all around for those live shows. But Kman, you got the Aussie and the Kiwi that are very, very close to some big freaking levels. I mean,
Mm,
you look at the Aussie. I mean, we're at now. I think those are generational lows. When I say generational, that means that in my career, the rest of my career, like let's say the next 20 years of me trading, I didn't think we'd see that. Now, I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I equate generational lows. That was like a COVID spike low. 20 years, we're
Yeah.
not going to see that level again. I may be wrong, because obviously if we break the support, that looks
It
like it's game
measures.
on. Right. It looks like that we could do it.
mm.
But like I said, this is a weekly chart. We're at a lot of key support here. Kiwis really, really close to some major levels here. And China's been, well, for lack of better terms,
Now
So
they're saying that they are going to cut the rates more or the reserve requirements more. So perhaps that's going to be a bit of a drag on the antipodians. But I personally think that if anything, start of the year. I'd love to see that last acceleration higher in the dollar. I'd really love to see it because I mean those two, Aussie and Kiwi, are ones that are very, very close on my radar for longer term trades. Perhaps if we see that last, like abandoned ship kind of move. There's nothing else than the dollar, and push them lower. Push the Aussie lower towards 60. Push the Kiwi down to 53, 54, and I think there is going to be like massive opportunities there.
yeah, and that
I
and
I
well,
agree
and
with
that was kind of like the attitude yesterday is there's no other place to be than in the US dollar. And that's
Mm.
why I'm like it was yesterday but I guess what you're saying is there still could be more and obviously, with the incoming Trump administration
Yeah,
that's
and
definitely the case.
you know what? We had 4 years of pandemic and post-pandemic trading, and now we are going to have another 4 years starting, and it's going to be funky.
Well,
Really.
Yeah.
you might want to just brush up on that trading because they're floating the story. Bird flu cases are starting to spread. I just saw a story, backyard cases, which means they didn't work with agriculture. Okay, maybe they had a pet chicken. I don't know, but I remember seeing that guy from Houston, that Hotech guy who was around all was always interviewed during the COVID, and he said that there are some tough things happening this winter. And can you imagine that there could be another one when they only usually come around every 100 years? That we could have another thing with bird flu. Um, Freaks me out. How about you? Anyone? I know I'm
Uh,
cheering everyone up today,
I
but I'm
don't I don't
seeing this. I'm seeing it.
you're asking a guy that when there was the swine flu in Mexico, I went to Mexico on vacation because it was
Oh,
cheap.
okay.
So I ignore that kind of stuff, but that's me.
Yeah, okay. I wish I could be like that.
Yeah.
A zinc CD. So, did you ever have a COVID shot?
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did actually. I did because I was gonna travel and I was like, shit, I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah. You couldn't. You
yeah,
couldn't at
I
that time.
needed it, to
All right.
travel at that point. So I got one pluck and
Anyway,
that
I've
was it.
been a pincushion, so if I check out early, you guys don't know why. Okay, so anyway,
Let's
looking
hope not,
forward.
Dale. Let's hope
Yeah,
not.
looking forward to having a good decade this
Yeah.
year. How about you? Huh?
Yeah. Oh, by the
I
way, I'm also going to be off for the best of the week
uh,
next week.
Yes,
oh
yes, K-Man, he's going to be off. But don't worry, we will have
uh
plenty of people here. So,
uh
yeah.
we like you more than Ryan.
Yeah, that's hey.
You mean we
I'm
only get
going to
Ryan?
listen. I'm going to listen to every minute of the face shows while I'm off and Ryan is back because I'm sure you're going to tell him exactly the same, the opposite.
So glad to have you. So glad you're here to step in for that Kman guy, right? Anyway, all right, guys. Well, have a good weekend. They are the best two-man team. I'll be honest. Sometimes I don't understand what Ryan says. His accent's pretty heavy. Do you, Blake? Do you understand everything?
Yeah, I think it's because
Do you
I've
have to
grown
think
accustomed
about it?
to.
Do you have to think?
No,
It's
I
not.
don't anymore.
All right, I still do. All
Yeah.
right. Anyway, um, I probably haven't. To him, I'm the one with the accent. All right. So anyway, have a great weekend, guys. And if you haven't, uh, great weekend to sign up. Uh, and you know, go through the platform, set yourself up, come in and say hello to people in the chat room, and be ready for so many surprises. There's one thing that all of us here at FX, here at Forex Analytics, can say is that there's definitely uncertainty. Okay, so we're gonna have a lot of uncertainty to deal with. Trust your charts. Okay, so don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Do your homework over the weekend so you're ready to execute. Okay, and instead of doing it on the fly, if you have a plan, you won't impulse trade, which is the downfall of many. Don't let it be yours. Have a great weekend, team. Thanks, Kman. We'll miss you
Thank you,
until
man.
we're.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, it was a good week. Although it was broken up, it was a good week. We have some historic things happening. Maybe some huge opportunities are going to happen. The times, they are a changing. Bob Dylan. And take care. See you guys next week.
Thanks, Coach. And K-Man, have a wonderful or a nice trip. Nice
Yep,
trip.
a busy
You're
one.
going to see. You're
Yeah,
going
busy
to.
one.
You're going to Japan to see your
Yeah.
grandchild.
Oh, yeah, I will go. I will go. Oh, yeah, of course.
All right.
We're already
All right.
making plans.
All right, buddy. All right. So see everybody. Laura, Bran, all you guys out there. Thanks for supporting us. You know what you guys could do? You could spread the word. I know you think everyone knows about us, but and they should, but they don't. So spread the word about what you've gained. You could do it on social media. Let people know what saved your ass in a very difficult endeavor. And that's it. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you Monday. See you, team.
See you, Coach.
All right.
See you,
Adios.
K.
See you, Kay. He's gone.
Yeah.
See you guys.